People make bad decisions on the golf course. It happens every time I go out. Somebody wants to do something that just seems like, why? Taking a driver on a hole where there are trees lined both ways and they have a big swooping, you could call it a fade, but I call it kind of a playable slice, or a draw that's kind of more like a playable hook. And well, I don't have a lot of room to put it out there. Well, it might be advisable to take a different club. Maybe a 3 wood, maybe a hybrid. You'll be sitting further back, but if you hit that tree trying to get off the tee, it's very likely you're going to be still by the forward tee boxes. You won't have really progressed anywhere, and so you'll be even further back and have even more difficult decision to make. So this is where just taking a moment to make a better decision. It may not be the decision you want. I know YouTube's made us all think drivers should be pulled out on every hole, every par four and every par five. I would disagree. If you hit it a decent amount, you can play a couple 200-yard shots on a par five and still get on the green in regulation and be able to get up and down for par or have a chance for birdie. This is what you want. You want a chance for birdie or a reasonable chance at par every time you tee it up on a hole. But when you make bad decisions, you're likely going to be trying to get up and down for bogey or worse, double or the dreaded triple. So I want you to focus on your course management. Every hole doesn't need to be, you don't need to hit it as far as you can on every hole. You don't need to try to drive up on every par five and get there in two. And every pin is not a playable pin. A lot of pins on some days are sucker pins. And like I say, they're waiting for you. If you're thinking of going at that pin and it's protected by bunkers and water, they're waiting for you. Now, if you hit a great shot, excellent. Excellent. Everybody's going to celebrate that. But how many times out of 10 are you going to be able to pull that off? Because if that's a 1 in 10, I'd rather you play to the middle of the green, two putt, walk away for par. Because that's really how you're going to lower your handicap and actually progress your game to the next level. Because if you're making 1 out of 10 on a hole that's easily playable to par, and you're doing that 1 in 10 times, like that's clearly a failure of consistency. So I want you to focus on making good decisions. It's not hard. It's really not hard. Sometimes you take a little bit longer club. Sometimes you take a little bit less club. It really depends on the situation. But in your mind, plenty of times you've said, maybe I could play a different club. Maybe there's another option to this. And in your practice rounds, if you practice on course, this is something you should think about doing, is seeing what your other options can present you with. Because it's too often people are taking driver because they don't play 3-wood, because they haven't practiced 3-wood or their 5-wood, so they don't know what the result's going to be, or don't really, want to take on the result of being 20, 30 yards further back. That might be the safer play. And it's oftentimes a smarter play because it'll give you a better chance unless you hit a perfect ball. But like I said before, golf's not a game of perfect, it's a game of consistency. It's a marathon and it's a journey. You're going to have trajectories up and down throughout your life and your golfing career, but the goal is to constantly be moving forward. And that's only going to happen when you make good decisions. So take that into account. Take that out on your next round and your practice round and see what you can do with that. But don't try to force every issue. Try to make good decisions, positive decisions, ones that you won't regret.